if it's not needed to speak po, no, then pay attention sa nagsasalita or sa ating speaker. Please do take down notes kasi ang pag-uusapan po natin ay tungkol sa research, and it is better if you have notes to ponder after this session, and speak up and ask for questions after the discussion of the topic. So thank you po. Back to you, Ma'am Chela.
Thank you, Ma'am Leila. Now, sana po ay sundin natin yung webinar house rule na ibinigay sa atin ni Ma'am Leila para po smooth po yung ating program. Okay? To welcome, to formally begin this program, we are pleased to have our beloved principal, Mr. Wilfredo Sinilio, for the opening remarks. Take it away, sir.
Wala pa ata siya, Ma'am Che. Ina-assist pa lang po siya ni Ma'am Angel.
So, Ma'am Leila?
So we need to proceed to our to our main topic for today's discussion, and after this we can have the welcome remarks of our dear principal. So the speaker for today is very familiar to all of us, no? Hindi na po siya iba sa atin, and to formally introduce him, here are some of the details about this person. Our beloved speaker for today is a candidate for Doctor of Education, major in Educational Leadership from the National Teachers College, and he also completed his Master of Arts in Education, major in Social Science Education at the same school. He is a graduate of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in History at Arellano University in Manila. So for his work experiences, he is currently public schools district supervisor for this division of city schools, and at the same time, he took the following positions along with his position as PSDS. He was a division research coordinator from 2018 to 2021, and the division research evaluator from 2021 for this school year. Okay, then he was a director for Institutional Research and Publication Center, associate professor, School of Advanced Studies. He was also a lecturer and reviewer for NTC Let Review Center and assistant professor for College of Arts and Sciences. He was also a department head for Social Science Department, a prefect for Discipline, and head for Center of Integral Evangelization, executive assistant for Student Affairs and faculty of High School Department, St. Joseph School of Tondo. Okay, his other achievements include Outstanding Mentor Awardee in 2013 Winner's Circle in National Teachers College for being a coach to 3 regional winners in the YMCA Regional Academic Olympics College category. He was also an outstanding paper presenter in 2014 at Asia Pacific Social Science Conference held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. He was also the Outstanding Mentor Awardee in 2015 Winner's Circle in the National Teachers College for being a coach to 2 national winners in the YMCA National Academic Olympics College category. He was a Basic Education Research Fund grantee and completer in 2019, Outstanding Researcher, 3rd International Benchmarking Tour and Research Conference on Multidisciplinary Education, Management and Administration, Universitas University at Batam, Indonesia. He also presented numerous papers in local and international research conferences such as in Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, Japan, and Hong Kong. Most of his research outputs include experiential learning, andragogy, and educational leadership. He is a national trainer for school-based research for teachers, national trainer for teacher advisor training program, regional trainer for RPMS PPST, technical writer, status of the implementation of the K-12 basic education, technical writer, Philippine Professional Standards for School Heads, module writer commissioned by Bureau of Learning, Delivery, Teaching and Learning Division for Practical Research 1 and 2, and Statistics and Probability. So ano pa ang hahanapin natin? Wala na, no? He's the powerhouse of this kind of topics. So let us all welcome our public schools district supervisor in charge for P. Gomez Elementary School, Sir Renato and Felipe Jr. Sir, take it away, please.
Good morning po sa ating lahat. Unang-una po, maraming salamat po ma'am for that introduction. I would like to say good morning to all the teachers on board, to our school head, to all the master teachers, sa lahat po, sa mga proponents po ng webinar na ito, ng launching na ito rather. So magandang umaga po. Am I heard loud and clear?
Yes po, sir.
Okay po, salamat po. Okay. Here's the topic na ibigay po sa akin, no. The research committee is asking for the importance of research and of course the basics of the action research proposal writing. We will not be going too much into details, but I want you to have some sort of introduction of how we write, no, research proposals. So let's proceed now to the importance of research. So simulan po muna natin on our learning objectives kasi para lang din tayong nag-attend sa klase natin. The first objective is actually we will be identifying, well, I guess alam na natin po ito, no? Identify the parts of research and know their importance. Then we'll try to appreciate different techniques, no, in writing action research. And then later on, we'll try to write some sample action research, no, using the techniques presented. All right? So, let's freshen up ourselves. Kamusta po kayo? I hope everyone is fine, everyone is doing great, no? So despite the pandemic, nandito po tayo lumalaban, kapit lang, di ba? Sabi nga nila. Okay, next po, tingnan po natin. Let us try to know whether the statement is true or false. No? Pwede nyo pong isulat kung open po yung chat box natin. No? Sabi dito, writing a research paper is time-consuming. Is it true or false? Okay, so I guess majority of us would say this is true. Next slide po. Well, actually, this is true. So writing a research paper is very time-consuming. You can't just grab, sabi nga, a few random sources and try to make them work. Tapos okay na, may research ka na. No, we can't just do that. No, you certainly can't start writing a research paper a few hours before it's due. Sabi nga, di ba? Let's expect na kagad natin that we are writing an excellent paper. We can't do it overnight. No? It's a tedious process. So that is correct. No? Kung ano yung perception nyo, kung gaano kahirap magsulat ng research paper, you are true to the very sense of it. No? So next po natin. Writing a research paper can be difficult. So it may be true or false. Let's proceed po to the next one. Well, I guess you are correct. Totoo po. Writing a research paper can be difficult and can seem overwhelming. Actually, sobrang dami ng facts na nakahain sa atin. Hirap na hirap tayong mag-organize ng mga facts na ito, mag-organize ng mga data na ito for us to be able to write a research paper. There really is no easy way out of writing, sabi nga. It takes time and effort to find and evaluate sources, organize our information, then write the paper. It's difficult. Alright? So, next slide po. If writing a research paper can take so much time, sabi nga nila, and can be so hard or difficult, what can you do to make the entire process a little less painful? Kasi wala namang wala namang glory kagad, the moment we write our paper and then ano na kagad tayo, we are experts. Even those experts in research would not claim that they are experts in research writing. No? We are still hungry for knowledge. Marami pa rin po, halimbawa po ako, despite the fact that I am so exposed to many conferences, but that doesn't necessarily mean or I claim na ako ay expert sa research. No, I do not claim that I am expert in research. I still have lots of things to learn. No? If we are hungry for learning, definitely marami pa po tayo malalaman sa isip natin. Alright? So, sabi nga, if writing a paper is difficult and time consuming, so what are we going to do? Next slide po. All you need to do is follow this step-by-step guide. So, meron po akong ginawang step-by-step guide na to, and then we will be able to learn how to write a paper in no time. So, ang gawin lang po natin, we will be doing this, no, and try to look at the basics, the foundations, the different rudiments of action research writing proposal, or proposal writing. Are you ready? Next slide, ma'am. So, let's get started. So, simulan po natin. Ang unang step po, siyempre sa Title 101. In a snap, hindi ka naman makakaisip kaagad ng title. But, you have to follow some certain steps for us to be able to have a title. Pero siyempre, yung title natin is still a working title until such time na matapos natin yung research paper natin. Only by then that we could finalize our title. Ang title natin, as I said, is a working title. Along the process, maiisip mo na, hindi pala ito yung iba pala. Hindi pala ganito. So, until such time na matapos mo ang research paper mo, only by then that you could finalize the title of your research. Okay? Next po. So, how do we narrow down a broad topic? Well, definitely, as we go along, may mga topic tayo na naiisip. Pero those topics are actually broad. No? Masyadong malawak yung topic na yon. Like for instance, sa classroom mo, no? Wag na tayong lumayo. Sa classroom mo na lang. Actually, yung classroom mo, hitik na hitik sa data yan. So all you need to do is to identify the different topics na pwede mong maisip for the conduct of your research. However, those topics may be broad. Ngayon, paano natin ina-narrow down yung topic na ito? Next po, ma'am. Tuloy-tuloy lang po. So first, you choose a topic from the wide array of topics that you have in a classroom. You choose a topic and then use web mapping, no, to narrow down your topic. And then try to focus on a certain topic, then generate questions for specific objectives, finalize the statement of the problem. Yung problem po natin can be descriptive, comparative, relational, or causal. Pagka descriptive kasi, ito yung most often na makikita natin. What is, what are, or how often. That's how you describe. For comparing naman, what is the difference? Is there significant difference? Pagka relational naman, what is the relationship? Is there a significant relationship? Yung mga usual na tanong na nakikita natin sa SOPs natin or yung statement of the problem natin. Or if our problem is causal, you look for the effect. Okay? Then, pag natapos na po natin yan, saka po tayo magkakaroon ng ganito. Okay? Gumawa po ako ng matrix for us to be able to have this guide. Kung sakali po na ang inyong broad topic ay tungkol sa reading, well, I guess majority of our grade 1 teachers, grade 2, and even grade 3 teachers have hard time, no, among our learners who are struggling or sometimes non-readers pa. So we'll try to look at this one as part of our broad topic, which is reading. Then you narrow down the topic, ano meron sa reading? Di look for the reading skills. Nino. Di tingnan mo yung hawak mong bata. Or even yung section mo. And then you focused on the topic. Anong meron sa reading skills ang gusto mong alamin? Di level ng reading skills. Tapos, doon sa grade 1 pupils, sino doon? yung struggling. Ngayon, pag nakapag-focus topic ka na, tignan mo yung relationship itong dalawa at you can have the research question. The research question may be, what is the level of reading skills of grade 1 struggling pupils? So that is now your research question. Ito yung sasagutin mo. Habang sinasagot mo yan, you go on with the process and you have your research. You are conducting the research. Kuha po. Oh, another example, if you have mathematics being the broad topic, you narrow down the topic, ano ang meron sa mathematics? Then nakita mo, sige, pwede ang numeracy. Aside from numeracy, ano pa? You want to find out the many strategies in teaching mathematics. Ngayon, you focus down the topic. Nakita mo, isa sa mga teaching strategies is pandemic yan. May nakita ako, virtual flashcards. Tapos, ano ang meron sa numeracy? You want to improve the numeracy skills of your students. Now, mag-craft ka ng research question mo. What are the effects of virtual flashcards in improving the numeracy skills of grade 1 pupils? Okay? Ayun po. Then, we go on, another broad topic is literacy. You narrow down the topic. Sa literacy, pwede kasing pasukan natin siya ng writing skills. No? Tapos, tingnan natin, ano-ano ang meron pa sa literacy na pwede nating ma-narrow down. At tingnan natin, baka may possibility na tingnan natin yung learning materials na ginagamit. So, you focus the topic. Yung mga learning materials can be teacher-made, and you want to focus on the teacher-made learning materials and the level of writing skills. Then you may have the research question, what are the advantages of teacher-made learning materials in improving the level of writing skills of grade 1 pupils? So these are now your research questions. Isa lang dyan, research na. And I believe, marami tayo may isip pa in our different area of specialization or even in our grade level. Okay, next po. Now, since we already have the research question, sabi nga, once na identify mo na yung problem, na-formulate mo na transcribe mo na yung problem, itatranscribe mo lang yung problem into declarative statement. Pag na-identify mo na-transcribe mo na into declarative statement, you now identify the key terms and look into the relationships or whether association of these terms based on how you want your variables to be studied. So like for instance, next po. Diba, yung first question mo, what is the level of reading skills of grade 1 struggling pupils? So if that is your research problem, your title may be the level of reading skills of grade 1 struggling pupils. So that is now your research title. Your working research title. Another example that we had. What are the effects of virtual flashcards in improving the numeracy skills of grade 1 pupils? If you transcribe it into declarative statement, it becomes the effect of virtual flashcards in improving the numeracy skills of grade 1 pupils. And that becomes your working research title. So another one, what are the advantages of teacher-made learning materials in improving the level of writing skills of grade 1 pupils? Transcribing it into a declarative statement, the advantages of teacher-made learning materials in improving the level of writing skills of grade 1 pupils. So ito yung titles mo, working titles mo. Here? Now, let's go to the second step. May title ka na. Tingnan mo na ngayon yung mga key terms na nandoon. Okay? We now go to the difference between theoretical and the conceptual framework. Kasi, more likely, dun mo muna pagaganahin. Remember, we are not writing yet. We are just into looking into the flow of the research na parang nagagawa ka muna dito ng planning mo using pwede kang gumamit ng tinatawag na sa concepts, no? Concepts muna in the meaningful learning theory. Conceptual muna tayo. Okay, let's have the next slide po. So, conceptual framework, of course, synthesis of relevant concepts. There are so many concepts that you have. Like for instance, dun sa numeracy. So, ano ang meron? Iisip tayo ng iba't ibang mga theories in relation to numeracy. Or, learning materials, baka meron. Diba? Or, more on reading. Baka mamaya, nagkakaroon ng problema sa reading pala yung bata. Or, if you are having learners with disability, tignan natin, baka mamaya, si bata, kaya pala hindi makabasa, dyslexic pala siya. Okay? O di kaya, pagdating sa numeracy, kaya pala kahit anong gawin mo dun sa bata, meron pala siyang, kahit anong gawin mo na pagtuturo about numbers, yung bata pala may dyscalculia. Okay? A conceptual framework actually is limited only to specific research problem. Like for instance, dito sa atin, specific yung research problem natin. So therefore, ang madalas natin gagamitin dito, conceptual framework. Broader ang scope. Then, it is created from a variety of conceptual and theoretical concepts, theoretical ideas. Then, limited in both, it can also be located in both quantitative and qualitative research paradigms. On the other hand, pag pinag-usapan natin ang theoretical framework, this has to do with the application of a particular theory, whether it is as a whole or in part. Also, it has wider application beyond the current research problem. Kasi hindi naman specific lang for that problem yung theoretical framework, no? Pwede kasi itong i-anchor din sa iba na pwedeng applicable dun sa ibang research problems and other contexts. The scope is narrow kasi limited lang doon, no? Sa theory na yon. The evolvement of which is from theory review then adapted from existing theory, more existing theory. Then located mainly in the quantitative kasi you want to find out the effectiveness of this theory on a particular in a particular process, no? Doon sa iyong research paradigm. So more likely, pag theoretical framework, you are into quantitative research. We do not see theoretical framework in any qualitative research. Kasi sa qualitative, you can actually create your own theory. Alright? Kasi qualitative, more on conceptual framework. Let's proceed. Okay. Useful steps now. We will be focusing on conceptual framework kasi nga, ang sabi ko nga, may specific research problem yung ating ginagawa. So therefore, it is limited to conceptual framework alone. So, parang gumawa tayo ng title dito. You pick your topic. Of course, you already have the topic. Then you craft your research question and we already have that. And then you read a review of literature. So many literatures na pwede mong basahin. Then from among these literature, you pick your variables. Siyempre, yung variables mo manggagaling dun sa title mo. And then know the relationship. Then from these relationships, try to make the conceptual framework. So how do we do that? Marami kasi tayong pwedeng paggamitan o pwedeng pagkuhanan, no, nung sample natin or design, no, kung paano natin ginagawa yung mga conceptual framework natin. Next po, ma'am. First of the design is actually the IPO or yung input process output. And I believe lahat tayo dumaan dito sa IPO, no? Kasi sa inputs natin, of course, these are the many things that we already have. At yung mga ginather natin. And then what do we do with this data? You created the process, anong ginawa mo? Nag-survey ka ba? na ano ba yung ginawa mo dun sa, basta you create your own process. Then after you have created the process, after you have employed the process, then comes the outputs or the outcomes. So more likely kung sa atin, we are looking into the performance of our learners. That is the output or the outcome. Okay? So that is IPO model. Another one is the IVDV model. Sa IVDV kasi you look into the relationship between or the relationship of independent variable to the dependent variable. So si independent variable investigator siya, no? That manipulates. So kaya siya independent. Si dependent naman, of course, from the term itself, magdedepende siya kung ano ang meron kay independent variable. So, depende kasi yung response ng ating mga participants doon sa, magdedepende doon sa manipulation na ginawa ni independent variable. So, this is the IVDV model. Next po is the CP model o yung tinatawag natin criterion predictor model. May mga criteria ka, so after mo malaman yung mga criteria, what will be the predictor? Like for instance, in our example here, we have pizza taste, speed delivery, waiter courtesy. So what will be the predictor? Customer satisfaction. Okay? So that is the CP model, criterion predictor model. P model naman, tinatawag natin P model or product model. May produkto ka kasi. Para siyang IBDV model, pero nung nalaman mo yung relationship, nalaman mo yung effect, what is the product? So kaya sinawag na P model. More likely, dun sa mga nagtitesis natin, ito yung may mga nakalagay na column na basis for an intervention program. O di kaya input for ganon. So more likely, itong research na to ay product model. Can we do that sa atin din? Yes, we can. Kasi pwede kasing itong inaaral mo dun sa klase mo can serve as your foundation or basis para doon sa gagawin mong strategy sa pagtuturo. Okay? So, product na siya. Na pwede mo magamit, halimbawa, pwede mong ma-share sa ibang grade level or even dun sa grade level mo para ma-implement. Alright? The next po. Next is the POM or the Proposed Original Model. Pwede siyang pabilog, pwedeng cyclical, pwedeng spiral, pwedeng triangular, pwedeng square. It depends on you kung paano mo pagaganahin yung creativity mo. And most of our research ngayon, ganito ang ginagamit. They have their own original model and then look into the relationship of the many variables that they have. Tapos, yun na yung model nila. And that is why it is called proposed original model. To look into the flow of the research. Kasi yung conceptual framework natin actually serves as the backbone of our research. Okay? Now, nalaman na natin kung paano gagawin natin dun sa kung ano ang pwedeng mangyari dun sa research. Now we go to the third step. Identify natin kung ano bang research design or research method yung gagamitin natin. But before that, let us try to know the difference between research methods and research design. Pag sinabi natin kasi research method, these are procedural. No? Kung paano natin i-collect yung ating mga data at paano natin siya i-analyze. No? Tapos, the research design naman serves as the overall structure ng research, whether it is quantitative or qualitative. Another one difference is the research method focuses on what type of method, no? Na kung ano yung suitable, what is fit, no? In collecting and analyzing the evidences as needed. Pero pagdating kay research design, it focuses on the type of study na pinaplano natin. Saka yung Ano bang ine-expect nating resulta from the research? Lastly, pagdating kay research method, magdedepende siya kay research design. Kung ano ang research design, may mga may mga basics yung research design katumbas nung kay research method. Sa research design naman, magdedepende siya sa research question or doon sa main problem natin. You see now the difference between research method and research design? So let's proceed now to the next slide. So, we have quantitative research and qualitative research. And more likely, do sa ginagawa natin, employment of the many strategies that we know is actually a quantitative research. Kapag hinaluan na natin ito ng mga data na gagamitan ng statistics test. Sa qualitative naman, we have to know why. Next po. Basically, sa quantitative research, this actually tells us what the respondents are doing. What? However, pagdating sa qualitative, this offers a deeper insight into why. Bakit ba? Ano ba ang meron? 'Di ba? Metaphysical siya eh. 'Di ba? Metacognitive. So, despite the fact na nakita mo na ganito, ano ang meron? Hindi porket ibig sabihin na nakaka-perfect siya, wala siyang problem. Hindi porket nakaka-zero siya, mahina siya. You get it? And that is why tayo bilang mga teachers, more likely, kapag may mga specific cases tayo, we go for qualitative research. Okay? Next po. So we have, gumawa na ako ng ganito, no, para makita natin ano-ano ba yung mga research design at saka yung mga methods na posible nating magamit. No? For quantitative research, we have intervention and non-intervention. Pagka-intervention, papasok kasi si true experimental at saka si quasi-experimental. Remember, may intervention tayong ginawa. So therefore, kapag ganito po, ang ginagamit natin, meron tayong in-employ na strategy or may in-employ tayo na innovation, no? Para po matignan natin, effective ba siya? May matututuhan ba yung mga learners ko? Magkakaroon ba ng mataas na performance yung mga bata? Okay? That is intervention research. Meron naman tinatawag na non-intervention research. Sa non-intervention naman, you may use correlational or descriptive. So more like, kapag nag-descriptive tayo, yung focus natin more on survey, may mga pinasagutan tayong checklist, gano'n. Or, meron tayong, kung correlational naman, tingnan natin ano yung relationship ba ng kanyang academic performance doon sa kanyang economic status, posible, no? Or even dun sa gender niya, or even dun sa age niya. So you look into the correlation of that. May ginawa ka bang intervention? Wala, tinignan mo lang. So more likely, ito pwede mo maging basis sa gagawin mong intervention program. Kuha po. On the other hand, pag sinabi natin qualitative naman, sa qualitative naman, you may have to explore common experiences na posibleng maging theory. Or, kung hindi man individual, at least in a group. Pagka po ganoon, ang focus natin ay grounded theory or ethnography. Pagdating naman sa individual stories, yung mga description, mga lived experiences, o mga in-depth study on a particular situation, we may go for narrative, phenomenology, or case study. Now, let's go find out ano-ano ba itong mga to. Sige po. Sa types ng qualitative, may tinatawag tayong non-experimental, which is non-intervention, and experimental, which is intervention research. Sinabi ko na nga, descriptive and correlational for non-experimental or yung binabanggit nating non-intervention research. For quasi-experimental and true experimental, of course, for the experimental research, which are intervention researches. Next po. Let's go for descriptive. Ito, may example din tayo. Pagdating sa purpose, this actually describes the characteristics of a certain phenomenon. Ano ba ang meron? Sa classroom mo, you may describe. That is actually can be a setting for a phenomenon, halimbawa. Ang time frame nito, current. Nangyayari ngayon. Pagdating sa degree of control, minsan wala. You just conducted a survey, tapos na. Pero research na siya. Or sometimes, mababa lang yung degree of control over factors. O di kaya yung precision, yung precisiveness niya. That's more likely, yung mga words na makikita natin dito, yung word na describe, interview, review, or even literature. And then, pagdating sa example, at ganun siya. Survey on the preferred college course of grade 12 learners. Tapos. So that is descriptive. Okay? Let's proceed to the next one. How about correlational? Sa correlational naman, ang purpose nito, this examines the relationships between variables. May dalawa o may higit kang variables yan. So, titignan mo ngayon, ano ba relationship nitong dalawang to o itong mga to? Ang time frame nito, it can be current, it can be past. Pag current or past, you may have the correlations of that. Pero, pagka yung correlational study mo ay may kinalaman sa future, this is actually more on prediction. So, you are looking for the many predictors na pwede mong magamit. Pagdating sa degree of control, from low, pwedeng maging hanggang medium. Pagdating sa code words na nakikita natin, makikita mo yung salitang relationship, related to, associated with, or yung predict. Example, the relationship of academic performance and the level of stress of grade 11 learners in attending science classes. So, try to look at the two variables here, academic performance and level of stress. So, tinignan yung relationship. Meron ka bang ginawang intervention dito? Wala po. You just relate them. You just try to know the relationship. Yan. Pag nalaman mo yung relationship, ano ngayon? Diba? So, pag nalaman mo yung relationship, only by then that you can have some intervention. And that is why, most likely, ang mga correlational research or descriptive research can be the phase 1 of your full-blown research. Okay? Next po. True experimental. The purpose is to test for true cause and effect relationship. So, true cause and effect. What is the effect of? Mga ganyan. Or, titignan natin yung time frame natin. Current. Degree of control over factors. High. Sobrang taas. Yun talaga siya. So, yung mga code words natin dito, function of, cause, comparison, between, effects of, ganyan. And then, one example is the effectiveness of preschool language program on the language skills of inner city children. So, may program ka and you want to know whether it is effective or not. So, meron ka bang ginawang intervention dito? Yes. Yung preschool language program. Yun ang ginagawa. Alright? Next po. For quasi-experimental, para din siyang true experimental research. Ang purpose nito, this is used to estimate the causal impact of an intervention on the target population without random assignment. Dito natin makikita yung difference ng dalawa. Si true experimental research, random ang assignment. They did not actually list criteria kung sino ang mga kasali dun sa research nila. Pero dito sa quasi-experimental, merong criteria na ginamit. Kaya most likely, ang ginagamit natin sa quasi-experimental pagdating sa sampling procedure natin, purposive sampling. Okay? Ang time frame almost the same as that of the true experimental, current din. Yung degree of control, pwede mo mapagkamalan kasi minsan high, pero minsan medium siya. Tapos yung code words naman, almost the same. Function, cause, comparison between, effects of. So that is the example, almost the same. The effects of reading programs to students' comprehension. So meron kang dalawang variables dito, reading program at saka students comprehension. Meron ka bang ginamit na intervention? Yes. Ang intervention mo dito, yung reading program. Almost the same as that of the true experimental. The only difference, ulitin ko po the only difference is that sa quasi-experimental, gumamit ka ng purposive sampling technique. Sa true experimental, everybody has the chance to be part of the research kasi random assignment yung ginawa. Alright? So, next po. So, let's now go to qualitative. The qualitative, there are so many dimensions that we need to focus to para makita natin yung difference between and among narrative, phenomenology, grounded theory, ethnography, and case study. Remember, these 5 research methodologies are the most commonly used, no? Qualitative research na nakikita natin from the many theses and the many dissertations na nababasa natin. So let's go to the first dimension, which is the focus. Pag narrative kasi, you explore the life of an individual. Pag narrative. Pag phenomenology, you try to understand the essence of experience about a certain phenomenon. Halimbawa, pandemic. After this pandemic, you try to go and understand the essence of their experience, of our experiences during pandemic. That can be phenomenological study. Grounded theory naman, you are developing actually a theory grounded on data in the field. Dito, nagpo-focus group discussion ka, more likely, ang ini-interview mo, nasa 20 to 30, tapos, gagamit ka na ng mga different codes or themes. Sa ethnography naman, you describe and interpret, no, a cultural or social group. Sa case study, you develop an in-depth analysis. Pwede kasing single case lang siya or multiple cases. Pagdating sa data collection, of course, for narrative, primary interviews and documents. Pagdating sa phenom, long interview siya pag phenomenology. Walang structure yung interview mo, anything goes. Tapos saka mo ngayon ita-transcribe yung interview na na-conduct mo. From at least 10 people, sabi nila. Medyo okay na daw yung number na yan. Pero some others would say na pwede nga mag-phenomenology kahit 5 hanggang 8, pwede naman. So I don't see any problem with the number of participants. By the way, pagka qualitative, we call them participants or co-researchers. Pagka quantitative, we call them respondents. Clear po? Sa grounded theory, you interview at least 20 to 30 individuals hanggang na masaturate mo na yung category na gusto mong alamin, no? And detail about a certain you are going to craft a certain theory on that. Sa ethnography, of course, yung primary observation mo, no, on interview, plus yung mga artifacts na makikita mo doon, more likely ito yung pinakamatagal gawin. Data collection pa lang to. More likely 6 months to 1 year, or even yung iba umaabot ng 3 hanggang 4 na taon kasi tinitignan nila yung cycle. First year can be the first cycle, second year can be the second cycle, third year could be the third cycle. Tapos pagdating ng fourth year nila, kapag pareho sila ng observation, yung first year of data gathering niya, which means nakatatlong cycle na siya. Medyo matagal pagka ethnography. For case study naman, there are so many sources. Multiple yung sources dito. Pwede kasi may documents ka dito, may mga archival records. Lalo pa kung anbawa ang case study mo ay may kinalaman sa medical, or psychological. So, titignan mo yung mga naging interview niya, or even titignan mo kung paano mo siya, titignan mo siya, obserbahan mo siya, di ba? Or even some physical artifacts. Okay? So those are the first two dimensions. Another dimension is data analysis. How do we analyze the data? Sa narrative kasi, you look for stories, you look for epiphanies, or even historical content. For phenomenology, you look for their statements, and then go for the meanings, and then you create the theme, and then what is the general description of those experiences. For grounded theory, you go for open coding, actual coding, or even selective coding, or conditional matrix na ginagawa natin. For ethnography naman, you describe, you analyze, and then you interpret. And then, for case study, another thing, you describe, then you create the theme and assertions. The narrative form, which is another dimension, is for narrative, you go for the detailed picture of an individual's life. Ano ang meron. Don't be misconstrued with the idea that this is also case study. Hindi po. No? Narrative lang siya. You are just narrating as to what happened to his life, ano yung naging buhay niya, and so on. So more likely, dito papasok si biography, and so on and so forth. For Fedom naman, you describe the essence of their experiences. Alright? Kasi you go for the lived experiences of these people in a certain phenomenon. Okay? Sa grounded theory naman, you create a theory or a model or a theoretical model out of the different codes na nakuha mo. For ethnography, you describe the cultural behavior of a group or even of an individual. Pwede kasing iba-iba. Pwede kasing dumating ka sa punto na ang naging focus mo lang yung leader nila. So that can be ethnography. Okay? Case study naman, in-depth study mismo ng isang case or so many cases. Halimbawa, nagkaroon ng malaria outbreak. You go for multiple case study. Alright? Now, step 4. So alam na natin, halimbawa, no, na ibigay na natin yung pag-identify natin ng anong klaseng research method yung gagamitin. Now, let's do the math. Well, of course, pagka qualitative, you don't have to worry on this. Pero kapag ka quantitative, tignan natin. It would depend, next po, it would depend to the type of test. O, ano ba yung nature ng test na kinoconduct mo? From the research problem, makukuha mo na kagad kung anong klaseng test ang gagamitin mo. It can be the test of difference, the test of relationship, or the test of association. Pag test of difference, you compare. Ang titignan mo doon, yung mean, median, or yung proportion. Are there one or two or more samples? Ngayon, pagdating doon sa number of groups mo, pwede kasing two independent groups yan. Or, it can be a correlated sample. Pero pwede rin namang 3 or more. Pagdating sa statistical treatment natin, it is whether you are into parametric or non-parametric. Ano difference itong dalawa? Pag parametric, tinitignan mo dyan yung mean score nila. Pag non-parametric, more likely, tinitignan mo dyan ranking. Pang ilan siya? Okay? So, ordinal and non-ordinal. Pag parametric, kapag ka test of difference, you can make use of the t-test if you have the sample size of 30 or less. Pag z-test naman, you have a sample size of 30 or more. Kung meron kang dalawang independent groups or correlated sample. Kapag ka 3 or more independent samples, gagamit ka ng ANOVA or She-Face test. That is still part of the test of difference for non-parametric. For parametric rather. For non-parametric, you may use chi-square, goodness of fit, dependence, or homogeneity. Or, you can make use of Wilcoxon. Or, pag correlated sample naman siya, you may use the Fisher sign or the McNemar test. Kapag 3 or more independent groups naman siya, you may use the Friedman test or the Kruskal-Wallis. Remember, sinasabi natin ito not to discuss in details, but I want you to understand kung ano ang specific statistical treatment ang babagay doon sa nature of test na ginagawa ninyo. This is not to complicate things, but I want you to understand na ginawa na natin tong matrix na to so that you may be assisted kung anong klaseng statistical treatment ang gagamitin mo. Especially those, yung baka may mga nagtitisi sa inyo, may mga nagdi-dissertation sa inyo. This might be of big help to you. Alright? Now, kung correlation naman siya, that is the test for relationship. Dalawa lang naman yan, whether you have your independent variable or a dependent variable. Pag parametric ang gamit mo, Pearson R, nothing more, nothing less. Pag non-parametric, you may also use chi-square goodness of fit, independence or homogeneity, and Spearman rho. For prediction naman, this is the test of association. You may have one independent variable or one dependent variable. Kapag ka ganito, you may only use simple regression. Pero kapag ka isang dependent at dalawa o higit pang independent variable, ang gagamitin natin, multiple regression. For non-parametric, whether you are into one dependent, or two or more independent, you may only use the Kendall W for non-parametric. Okay po? So, in that case, kita po natin, these are the basics or the rudiments ng ating research. Why is research important? Kasi bottom line nito, ang tinitignan natin lagi, welfare ng mga bata. Because, sabi nga ni Miller, successful people have at least one thing in common. Somewhere, somehow, someone cared for their growth and development. Remember, we were once learners. At yung pagkatuto natin ay nagdepende kung paano ni-research ng mga teachers natin kung ano ang appropriate na strategy ang pwede sa atin para matuto tayo. Clear? The PowerPoint presentation will be available. No? Binigay ko na po kay Miss Leila at ipamamahagi po sa inyo for your guide. Okay po? Maraming salamat po. At
Thank you, Sir Nilio.
God bless
Thank
po.
you po, sir.
Salamat
Thank you po,
po.
Sir Felipe, sa napakaganda at clear na discussion about writing the basic action research proposal. Napakalaking tulong po nito sa aming mga guro sa pagkandak ng aming action research. Teachers, do you want to hear or learn more about research? Save nyo po yung question nyo later for the open forum. Okay, for today po, let me call on Sir Christopher Urbino to present the Src Table of Organization and shows the video about the committee program.
Yeah, thank you, Ma'am Che, Ma'am Chela. Nakita na po ba yung aking presentation?
Yes po, sir.
Ayan. So, balik lang po ako, no? Thank you, Sir Felipe, for that wonderful explanation po, no? Ayan. So, I'm here to present the School Research Committee. So, this is our organizational chart po, no, ng ating school year 2021-2022 School Research Committee po natin. Siyempre, ang po natin dyan, yung pinaka-head po natin with our dear Principal, Sir Wilfredo Sinilio, and our very supportive Sir Renato and Felipe Jr., our PSTS in charge. So, ang ating pong organization or the SRC is led by Ma'am Leila H. Bilar. So, siya po ang bago nating ngayon coordinator for this school year. With her co-chairman and as a secretariat at technical team with Ma'am Chela Piña-Redondo, which is grade 2. And nahati po ito sa dalawang team po natin. So, we have the technical and the language specialists. So, as you can see, Babanggitin ko lang po muna yung mga part po ng ating technical team. And as much possible, we want to encourage everybody, to have their interest also in joining our SRC. So as much possible, we want to reach out dun sa mga grade levels po natin na at least kahit papaano meron po isa sa inyo or no, dalawa na makasama po natin sa ating SRC. So let's start with technical team. We have here Ma'am Erica Shane B. Boron from grade 1, Ma'am Amparo T. Canielas from grade 5, T. Canielas, Ma'am Rochelle G. Kalingasam from grade 3, Sir Raymond B. Alfonso from SPED 1, and ito yung isa pang bigan po natin no, from kinder. So, from kinder teachers po, ayan, sana po no, magkaroon po tayo ng at least one participant from your grade level. And from language specialist po naman natin, yeah, so we have Ma'am Beverly Antoinette C. Tuliao from grade 4, Ma'am Joy, Maria Joy to, Ma'am Joy Carbonel from grade 2, and Ma'am Christine P. Aragon from SPED 2 or GT. And from grade 6 naman po, ayan, so we are, kasi si Ma'am Biron, no, na-promote them as a Master Teacher 1, so nabakantihan po ng isang participant from grade 6. Ayan. So this is our school research committee for school year 2021 and 2022. And hindi po nagtatapos diyan mga ma'am and sir. Sabi ko nga kanina, we want you to be part of our organization, no? So hindi lang po dito kung sino nakita niyo diyan ay sila lang. So mamaya po we will announce no some of the, kasi si Sir Nilio is nahirapan because makapasok sa ating meeting today dahil nakalimutan po yung kanyang password and need to be to reset. Ayan. So mamaya po i-announce ko mamaya yung kanyang announcement after po ng ating webinar. Ayan. So siguro ituloy ko na to Ma'am Chella and Ma'am Lay. Our video presentation of the school research committee programs for the school year 2021-2022. At least magkaroon po kayo ng idea about the program. So this actually the discussion today in the webinar today is one of the programs no ng ating SRC ngayon. Kaya we are very thankful and grateful na nakasama po natin ang ating PSDS, no, si Sir Felipe, to discuss the overview of research. Ayan. So enjoy po. Let's watch and enjoy the video.
Hi everyone, welcome to the School Research Committee Plans and Programs for the
May sound po ba?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. School year 2021 to 2022. We have the vision to have a sustainable research group at Padre Gomez Elementary School. The group that does not only comply with the requirements and compete with other schools, but most importantly, the group that imbibe the culture of research in their everyday lives. But we also see the struggles and views of the people inside the organization that failed many of us in this field. For that reason, the SRC, together with our dear principal, Sir Wilfredo C. Nilio, and our public schools district supervisor, Sir Renato and Felipe Jr., created plans and programs for the school year 2021-2022. We are happy to share some of our programs with you. Number one is the establishment of the first P. Gomez Research Academy to build our competencies in research writing. There will be bi-monthly sessions to cater to the topics that will help one in writing their own proposal. The courses are divided into two categories, the preparatory courses and the advanced courses. We have 6 topics for the preparatory courses, details of which will be available online after this program. Advanced courses are crafted for researchers who are in the pilot testing and analysis of their study. We will also conduct a presentation of the AR proposals submitted at the completion of the preparatory courses. In addition to that, the group will also provide technical assistance to teachers from the writing of the proposals until the completion of the study. And we will conduct our very own research festival before the end of the school year to pave the way in making a compendium of researches made by P. Gomez teachers and for submission to the division office. Who knows? The researches we can create can be useful in crafting new policies, innovations in teaching, and an organization exemplar in problem solving of other schools. So we invite everyone to join us and help us build the culture of research at Padre Gomez Elementary School.
Ayan. So, join us. Ayan, sabi nga ni Ma'am Leila. Actually, hindi lang po sa SRC to, no, but the whole P. Gomez
Hi,
Elementary School. Ayan. So, back to
Thank
you, Ma'am Chela.
Thank you, Sir Chris. Thank you, Ma'am Lay, for that information. We encourage everyone to please join us in realizing our vision for the SRC. Teachers, you may fill out the attendance form and evaluation sheet as we continue our program. Please refer to the link that is sent in our chat box or sa GC po. Now, let's have Ma'am Layla to facilitate the open forum. Ma'am Layla.
thank you, Ma'am Chela. I stand corrected, no po. Thank you po, Sir Felipe. Okay, thank you po, sir, for the wonderful talk. Napakadami po naming natutunan at alam po namin na confident na kami talaga. Alam namin sa academy meron po kaming napakagaling na guide or mentor para matuloy po yung ating research academy. So the the meeting is now open para po sa mga questions ninyo. Sino po yung may question, you can raise your hand or you can unmute your mic po para po tulungan tayo ni Sir Felipe na masagot po ang ating mga tanong. Any question po?
Ayan. Open po sa lahat po ng ating mga participants and attendees ngayon. So you can unmute and ask questions po for clarification. At least dito po yung ating PSDS, no, to guide us. Ayan.
And one more thing, no, yung sinabi po namin kanina, pag po tayo ay sumali sa research, from crafting the problem to the completion of the study, meron po tayong technical assistance, no po. So hindi tayo dapat matakot. Meron pang ibang plans and programs, but it is not for me to divulge. Hayaan po natin si Sir Nilio ang magsabi nito sa tamang panahon po, no po. Pero rest assured po, we can provide technical assistance po. Lalo na po, nandito rin po si Sir Felipe. Siya po yung malalapitan po natin when it comes to your research queries po. Okay, and difficulties. And yun nga po, iba-iba po kasi yung topic sa Research Academy. So pwedeng-pwede po talaga tayong sumali this time. So, meron po ba kayong mga tanong? Baka po si Sir magtanong sa atin. Mahirapan tayo.
Baka naiya sila, Ma'am Lay. Sige, Ma'am, simulan ko. Pwede ba?
Sige, sir.
Ayan.
Go
Para,
ahead.
wala, actually, it's not my question, pero parang confirmation lang with Sir Felipe. Sir, doon sa discussion kanina, sir, actually, ang ganda kasi para siyang nakasum up na yung paggawa ng research. And kumbaga para ako na-refresh talaga ako, even though almost 2 years na akong nakundi talaga for sa paggawa ng research, no. Sir, most probably ba kasi I'm not so convinced sa ng action research. Kasi usually mga case studies, no, ang madalas na kinukuha sa science. At saka sa tama ba, sir, it's more magfo-focus ba since action research siya, kasi parang napakita kanina doon sa presentation na parang sa true experimental halos papasok karamihan sa mga researchers natin. It's because there is what we call program. Kasi madalas, diba, yun naman ako natin, kapag may problem, kadalasan may program tayo na ginagawa to solve the problem. Ganun kasi sa action research, napansin kong style ng ganon. So tama ba, sir? It's true experimental most probably magiging gagamitin natin mga teachers if they want to pursue doon po sa action research po natin. Tama, AR.
Actually, sir, pagka po nasa quantitative, more likely, ang action research natin ay quasi-experimental.
Oh.
Kasi, kaya quasi-experimental, kasi may identification ka of those learners who are struggling, kasi criteria na kagad. Kasi kapag ka nagkaroon tayo ng criteria in our selection of respondents, nagiging quasi-experimental na siya kagad. Kaya sa papasok sa intervention research, kasi may problem na nakita kaagad. And we want to address this problem utilizing the intervention na pwede nating magamit para dun sa research natin. Whether it is effective or not. Parang kaya sa papasok sa action research.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Ayan, sir, mga ma'am, no? Ayan, quasi-experimental ang usually nagagamit natin for AR. Ayan. Thank you, sir, for the clarification. Ayan,
Any
baka
other
meron pang
question?
iba pa. Sir, baka nahiya po sila.
Oo nga. Pero anyhow, if
Nahiya
ever
po
po, pwede naman po silang magtanong through the SRC, no? If in case po na continuous naman po yung meetings natin kung sakali po, di ba, sir? No, kung sakali
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Tama
po.
po. Ma'am
Parang
Leila,
Tama.
paki-explain nga, Ma'am
reference
Leila, kung yung next na kon po natin. Tama, sir, no? Magkakaroon tayo ng
po.
second
Opo.
Research Academy. Yes, Ma'am Leila?
Yes po, sir. Actually, meron po tayo naka-schedule nila, no, sir? Ang una po nating topic is identifying the research question, variables po. So, yun po yung una nating topic.
Doon po, Ma'am Lay, gagawin na po nating in-depth yung discussion.
Yes po, sir.
Opo.
At dahil, sir, ang magiging kayo rin po, sir, yung magi-speak po doon. Ano po, kasi po, kasi po, di ba, sorry, sir, inunahan ko na, no? Opo. Kayo rin po doon, sir, kasi meron na po kayong naibigay na natulong ng mga research questions po. And then, sila, research committee po, nagka-come up na ng proposal. So, we are there to clarify the matters na malabo po. And then, yung iba pong mga members, magpo-provide po ng technical assistance sa isa't isa. So,
Okay.
yun po yun, sir. In-depth discussion na po yun ng topic na yun. May 9 topics po tayo for the academy. At yung pinaka-bottom line po nito, ang output ng academy ay ang ating well-written research proposal. At after po nun, meron pang 3 topics uli. Ang output naman nun ay yung mga completed researches po. No po? So, yes po mga ma'am, meron pa po ba kayong mga tanong? Bi-monthly sessions po, 1 hour lang, hindi tayo masyadong magtatagal para hindi ninyo kabisita ng research. Po, 1 hour lang pag may time. Bi-monthly,
tama.
sabi ko ni Sir Nico.
Actually, add ko lang, Ma'am Leila, no? Sabi ko nga kasi last time, yes, we have the SRC. Ito kasi yung parang kuha natin, parang hindi naman kulang, pero kumbaga parang to strengthen, no? I know na marami sa mga teachers natin, they want to pursue or they want to write na about AR. Nakakita ko lang kasi problem talaga is they don't know how. They don't know how to start, no? Alam ko ngayon, ito po yung binibigay namin sa inyo mga ma'am and sir, no, na assistance. So, wala kayong mapagtatanungan kung paano kayo magsisimula, paano ito ganyan. So, nandito po yung SRC natin with our PSDS to help you. Kaya po natin kinakandak ang program na ito, no? Yeah, huwag niyo katakutan daw ang research kasi ito nga sabi ko ni Sir Felipe kanina, 'di ba? Naging learner din tayo before. So, how can we build success, no? If we tayo mismo tayo mismo nagbibigay ng hindrance sa paggawa. And at the end naman itong research, we all know na program naman, no, in our students or pupils, I should say, ang makikinabang. Ayan.
Yes, exactly, Sir Chris. So, may tanong po ba? Ba't walang gusto magtanong? Sana po magtanong talaga.
Ma'am?
Yes po.
Ayan, meron ito, ma'am.
Yes, Sir Raymond.
Ayun po. Good afternoon po, Sir Felipe. Ay, good morning po. Sorry. Ayun po. May gusto lang po ako itanong regarding po sa sa Conceptual Framework models for action research. Ito po. Do they have corresponding meanings relative to different symbols, diagrams, and arrows? Or we can just adapt such models in conceptual framework as far as action research is concerned po, sir?
Apo, pwede naman pong i-adapt na lang, sir. Kasi kapag ka po kasi we will be going into details onto the shape, may mga ano po talaga yan, may ibig sabihin po talaga yan. lalo pa kapag sa grad school po, no? May mga ibig sabihin po. We don't just design our models, pero since yung sa binigay ko po kanina, yung 5 most commonly used na conceptual framework, pwede pong i-adapt po doon yung atin pong gagawing action na research. Anyhow, yung action na research naman po natin is not more on the complication of things, kasi may specific problem naman po tayo na i-address, and more likely po itong mga problems po na ito ay classroom-based, kaya po sa classroom or school-based action na research lang po. Pero if we will be going into details, medyo mahaba-habang discussion po yun. And I don't think po yung mga speakers po natin ay ganun ka-well-versed na po pagdating po sa research. Ang ano lang po natin, we introduce these different conceptual frameworks to them para po, ito po yung commonly na nakikita po nila dun sa mga thesis na nababasa nila, o din sa mga journals na nababasa rin po nila, and so on. Pero kung ano po, sa grad school kasi, sir, meron po talaga siyang meron po siyang ibig sabihin. If you will be using circle, if you will be using triangle, kung square ba siya, kung rectangular ba siya, kung hard line ba siya, kung dotted line ba siya, mga ganun po. May mga ibig sabihin po yun.
Very clear po, sir. Thank you so much po, sir.
So, thank you po, sir. Thank you po.
So mga ma'am and sir, patikim pa lang yan, no, ng matututunan natin sa research. O di ba nagiging technical people tayo agad dahil kay Sir Felipe. Any questions po? Ma'am Angelica Osal po, you may go ahead please.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning po, Sir Felipe. Good morning po, Sir Nino. Yung po, medyo nasagot na po ni Sir Felipe ngayon lang po. Yung regarding po kung may mga problems na po na nakahanda dun sa classroom lang po. Okay na po.
Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Angelica. So, we are inviting you also to join the research group, ma'am. Yan. Any more questions po? May questions pa po ba before we proceed to other announcement? Parang wala na po yata. Sir Chris, you may go and proceed to announce other things.
Okay, ma'am. Ayan. So, before we go to our next con po, no, part of the program, I just want to announce lang po, our principal actually didn't make it today. However, kasi actually parang pauwi pa lang po ata siya. And then, one of the reasons din po kasi is yung kanyang password, no, sa kanyang MS Team or doon sa kanyang 365 account need to be resetted. So, yon, kailan po ipa-reset. Ayan, so sabi na lang po niya, he wants to meet new teachers, master teacher 2, and those teachers who wants to be promoted at 4 to 5 p.m. Ayan po. Ulitin ko lang po mga ma'am ha, new teachers. So lahat po ng all new teachers po natin are required. Master teacher 2 teacher, master teacher 2 na mga teachers. And yung mga teachers po who wants to be promoted. Ayan. Gusto raw po niya pong makausap later at 4 to 5 p.m. So, sabi ko po, para hindi na po mahirapan no, sa pagpasok later, I will to generate the link na lang po for Google Meeting later. Ayan. 4 to 5 po, para naman daw po may pahinga pa after this one. Ayan. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you po, sir.
Okay,
Thank you po,
Ma'am
Sir
Cher.
Chris. Thank you
Yes
po,
po,
Ma'am
Ma'am
Leila. Thank you po,
Angela,
sir. Apo. Thank you rin po, Sir Felipe, for answering the queries of our teachers. Now, to conclude this meeting, may we call on Ma'am Leila Villar again, Chairman of the School Research Committee, for the closing remark. Ma'am Leila.
Yan. Thank you, Ma'am Chela. Ano po? Before po tayo mag closing remarks at saka mag-award po ng ating certificate para po kay Sir Felipe, I just want to clarify yung mga new teachers. For the purpose of the meeting to be held at 4 o'clock in the afternoon through Google Meet po, ang mga new teachers po ay teachers who are rendering their service for less than 3 years po. So kung kayo po ay 3 years pa lamang sa serbisyo or less than 3 years, kasama po kayo doon sa mga new teachers. And master teacher 2 at yung mga teachers po na nais magkaroon ng promotion in 1 or 2 year time po. Ano po? All of you are invited or expected to attend the meeting at 4 o'clock with Sir Nilio po. Ano po? And before the closing remarks, let me call again Sir Christopher Orbino for the awarding of the certificate. Sir Chris.
Ayan. O nga pala, ma'am. Ayan. So, before we with the program, no, ayan, syempre we want to give recognition to our beloved PSTS. So, Division of City Schools Manila, P. Gomez Elementary School. This certificate of recognition is presented to Sir Renato and Felipe Jr. for being the resource speaker during the online launching of the first P. Gomez Research Academy, awarded on November 3, 2021 by the Microsoft Teams platform. Signed by, ito sir, actually wala pang signature because Sir Nilio wants to sign it personal. So with signature daw po. Ayan. So signed by Ma'am Leila H. Villar, our SRC coordinator, and Sir Wilfredo Sinilio, our principal. Thank you very much, Sir Renato, Sir Jojo.
And salamat din po ng marami sa opportunity and mahaba-haba pa po yung ating pagsasamahan.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Salamat po.
Papa po talaga. Okay, let me conclude this meeting with this with my favorite quote. Hindi pa po ako talaga ganon kagaling mag-research. Aminado po ako doon. Isa lang po akong beginner sa research, ano po. Pero ang lagi ko po nasa isip, kaya po nagkaroon ako ng mga kaalaman dahil sumama po ako o pumunta po ako, nakijoin po ako sa mga people na may alam na sa research. Kasi para sa akin po, sabi nga po ni Sophie, sa Sophie's World, wisest is she who knows she does not know. I know I am not capable enough. Alam ko hindi pa ako ganun kagaling. And many people could help me if I am humble enough to accept my flaws, to accept my shortcomings po, and humble enough to accept their corrections po. So, para rin po sa atin lahat, I hope we are open enough to accept the assistance of others. We are not here po para sabihin na, ay, yun lang palang alam niya sa research, but we are here to help each other po. Sabi nga po, di ba, iron sharpens iron po. So with that, thank you very much, and paki-fill out na lang po ang ating evaluation form until 1 o'clock p.m. Tapos po, isasara po namin ang attendance link at after 15 minutes po, after 15 minutes ng ating pagkatapos po nitong ating meeting, ng launching po. So within 15 minutes, please answer the attendance form and you are free to evaluate until 1 o'clock p.m. 1 o'clock p.m. So kung wala na pong tanong, let us
Ma'am Lay,
conclude.
picture tayo, Ma'am Lay, picture.
Ay, oo nga pala, sir.
For
Opo,
documentation.
mag-picture po na. Please open camera, sir. Ayan, open po tayo lahat. Yan. Maraming salamat po. Yan.
Stop recording.